Hey, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight, Thursday, May 18th, 2023, our regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen's meeting. I call our meeting to order. Do we have a quorum?
Good question.
I think you do, Mr. Chairman. I'm here, Pete's here, and Gail's on the phone.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. And I ask that we please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay. Hearing none. Our next section will be public comment. A couple of things. We've gotten a lot of letters concerning things going on with the school system in the fourth grade. Hopefully people understand we have no control over what the Board of Education does with their money. So I just want to make sure people understand that we, as the Board of Selectmen, that is totally out of our purview. Other than that, I know I have at least one person, Mrs. Sidkowitz, who wants to talk about the pollinator pathways, and she is only able to do it by phone. So we're going to let her go first. Apparently, there are people that have had issues trying to get on. I outside of my pay grade, but Ms. Sidkowitz.
Okay. My name is Sinkez, but I oftentimes get that's okay. I get Sanchez, Sinkowitz, and an assortment of names. So yes, I have two comments to make. One is a proposal, I guess, for your next meeting in June 1st. The Hebron pollinator pathway is hopeful that the town will consider the week of June 17th through the 23rd, which is National Pollinator Week. It also corresponds with Hebron Day activities that weekend. We would like to have the town install or plant a native dogwood tree in front of the town hall and have a slight ceremony of planting that in honor of Pollinator Week, in honor and recognition that the town has a resolution in support of pollinators. We thought the combination of it being Hebron Week, Hebron Day, and National Pollinator Week, that would be a significant acknowledgement by the town. The tree would probably cost in the vicinity of $200 to $300, depending on the size of the tree. And so I would like, I guess, for that to be put on your agenda as a proposal that we would make in writing so that you might be able to act on that at the June 1st meeting. So if you accept that proposal, that I could then purchase the plant. That is my main objective in speaking. But the other good news is that the Hebron Conservation Commission and Wetlands Agent did approve our proposal of using the Hartford Audubon Society grant, which we received $1,000, to be used as an Audubon pollinator garden at the Church Street entrance to the Hebron Bremen Brook Preserve. From that entrance, as you looked across the pond, it would be directly in line with the path, and it would be an assortment of native trees, shrubs, and perennials specifically selected for their nutrient and habitat value to birds. They gave us the okay the other day. I received the notice certified mail, and James Cordier wrote a letter, I believe, to members of the Board of Selectmen acknowledging our good works and good deeds and endorsing what we do. I believe Dan did receive it. I think
Yes.
Andy may have received it. So those are my two things. The good news is that we are in the process of doing something significant at the preserve for pollinators, and we would like for Pollinator Week for the town to plant a dogwood tree. And then you probably won't hear from us all year. We'll just be busy planting and weeding. But that is our hope. And if it's appropriate, should I write a formal proposal as such
Yes.
and submit it? Is that the
That would be the
procedure?
process. I would say,
Okay.
Andy, did you want to comment on that?
Well, there's not a lot of lead time for that. I think it's a great idea. And I have to talk with some other departments to make that happen, but we'll do the best we can. I'll talk to Craig's at Parks and Rec, who would actually probably be doing the planting, who's in charge of the grounds. And then normally we touch base with the town planner. We just, we try to strategically, place things at the town hall with input. So normally there's a little bit more fingerprints that have to go on it, but we'll do what we can to try to make that happen.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, I'll write something up and address it to those parties. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess I'm finished, so you could
Okay,
probably carry on.
yes, Dory? I don't know what's going on, so,
Kevin Tullamary has his name in the queue to speak
Ah.
at
okay,
public comment.
thank you. Kevin?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Selectmen. I appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts. And I'd also like to publicly thank the Hebron Green Committee for their comprehensive and compelling report that they submitted to the Board of Selectmen and the Public Building Committee dated May 1st. I'd like to remind the Board of Selectmen that the Hebron Green Committee is, quote, appointed by the Board of Selectmen to act as the eyes and ears for all things eco-friendly and sustainable in Hebron, end quote. Their exemplary report and the two pages of footnotes with documented sources show their tremendous efforts. It's really a very important document. And I would like to suggest that the selectmen have a responsibility to respect this information and by their own appointed committee and act accordingly. I would also like to briefly comment on the Public Works Survey draft that was published in the Board of Selectmen agenda May 4th. I appreciate the effort that has gone into creating this document. However, I do see that there's clearly a bias in the questions and more significantly in the project summary. To begin with, in 2, if you click no that you do not want to read through the project summary, you are blocked from continuing with the survey. So really, you must view the survey in the perspective of the summary. This is unfair and immediately creates a bias. The summary should be optional or a separate document altogether. Page 4 of the summary contains a really significant factual error about the 2019 special town meeting, that the vote itself was strictly for the purchase of the land. The minutes of the meeting include several statements by town officials, including selectmen and the town manager, reiterating the fact that was just a vote to purchase the land. By stating in the summary that there was a, quote, stated intent of municipal development, end quote, is gravely false and misleading. I'd also like to refer to page 5 of the summary with residents' concerns. This is reserved for the last page And actually, even the title sets up an adversarial situation, the town versus the residents. Shouldn't these concerns be the town's concerns as well? Those about the environment and the historical situation, especially in light of the Hebron Green Committee, where is their concerns? They're residents, but they're also an official committee of the town of Hebron. So I'd like to see a link or a separate page for the Hebron Green Committee concerns in that aspect as well. So, and not only is the summary itself biased, and not only in its facts and its lack of facts, but also in presentation, especially the use of bold and underline. Interestingly, the page 5 of residents' concerns is one of the few pages that does not have bold or underlined. And those concerns are very minimal in their explanation of the concerns. So I would like those to be considered by the Board of Selectmen, and I'm happy to send these comments over to the survey committee, and hopefully a second draft can be published before it moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I do not have who's wanting to speak. So I have to,
I don't see myself or anybody else's hand up, or at least
There's
not.
no one else in the chat box.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Up,
I'm
we
sorry.
have-
Caitlin Hershey just asked a comment.
please, Caitlin, go ahead. Caitlin,
Hi, guys. Can you guys hear me okay?
we can, yes, actually, we see you. Yes.
Okay. I think my internet I'm like getting really choppy feedback. So I think I'm going to go off of camera just to make sure that I am not cutting out in the middle of my
May
3
not
minutes.
be your problem. We're having a problem. Everybody's been having a problem getting on tonight for whatever, excuse
Okay.
me, whatever
Okay.
reason.
All right. All right. Well, hello. And then I will see you with only my voice in a second. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that because I can't tell if it's on your end or my end. It's telling me my connection's unstable. So anyways, my name is Caitlin Hershey. I am the chair of the Green Committee, but speaking tonight as a resident. Kevin actually just mentioned the letter that we had inserted into the packet tonight. And I wanted to address the mark. I think Nathan Jacobson missed it, and I think the town is missing it. And I don't particularly care about Nathan Jacobson. I'm sure that they're fine with what they do, and I take some of their predictable and dismissive responses, with a grain of salt, as they're not only being paid by Hebron, but will likely be paid further if this facility is approved. So, that's totally fine. But the mark that is missed the most for me is from town. And in the May 12th edition of the River East, it was the one last week, Chairman Larson is quoted as saying, how about standing up and helping their community instead of sitting back and complaining, in reference to voters who want to lower taxes, but also don't volunteer in their community to fill positions. Well, Chairman Larson, the Green Committee is made up entirely of intelligent, passionate, volunteer residents who really love this town. They spent a couple years researching the DPW project, and I think we spent about 6 months writing that letter, only to be met with resistance, some forwarded emails, having their letter pasted into a packet for formality purposes with no formal response or communication, and my favorite, allegations of fear-mongering, which I find to be very rich, coming from people who have a monetary interest in the project and are hired by town leadership that is also a vocal proponent of the project. Our letter painstakingly includes 47 citations in 5 pages of content, mostly from government sources like the EPA, DEEP, and the town's own documentation. So to be so dismissed feels pretty insulting. And the thing about these facts is, and I realize that this is not the first time that you've heard a lot of these things. And I think Tom Fenton had mentioned that it's rehashing and it might not be worthwhile, but the thing about facts is it's really easy to call them fear-mongering if they aren't in your favor. So you'll have to understand where the disconnect is coming from for me when you ask that question, because I think if the town wants that answer, they need to turn inward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No one else at this time.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for those who have made comments. Our next section would be our good to know special recognition. Andy?
We do not have anybody at this time.
Okay, appointments and resignations. Ugh. And I believe we have two.
Yes. The first one would be 6A, Zoning Board of Appeals appointment. Attached is correspondence from Courtney Hayes, who's a D, expressing interest in being appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I was alluded that they did attend a meeting, and the letter is in the packet.
Okay. Is this individual with us tonight or no?
I would
Oh,
have to.
I see a hand. I see a wave. Ms. Hayes?
Hi, nice to meet everyone. So I am Courtney Hayes. I know my letter was brief. To reiterate what's in it, I'm a lawyer, and at a previous firm I worked at in the New Haven area, I did zoning appeals work. It was mostly commercial work, whereas I know Hebron's more residential, but I do understand the process and everything like that.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Hayes? Hearing none, I'm going to make a motion. Move the Hebron Board of Selectmen appoint Courtney Hayes as a regular member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to run until December 2025. Any comments? Any comments? Excuse me. Thank you, by the way, for stepping forward. We really appreciate it. Pete?
Peter Casper, aye. Thank you for volunteering.
Gail? No, she's on. Mark?
Mark Rivera, aye.
Tiffany? You're on mute. You're on mute, Tiffany.
Says she's not. So Tiffany, I don't know. It says you're not on mute, but we can't hear you.
Thumb up. Okay. Oh, we'll get through tonight. We will get through tonight. And myself, aye. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. And
Thank you.
good luck on on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I actually started many years ago, and I think that was my first thing I was on. Or no, Board of Tax Review. That's what it was. But it's still, yes. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Andy, we have a fire police appointment.
We do. If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just, I didn't want to steal your thunder. Normally, you're pretty good at letting the new people know that they have to go see the town clerk and be sworn in.
Oh, okay. No,
So that would be
hopefully
Courtney.
she
Okay, thank
gathered
you.
that.
Okay, so next up is agenda item 6B would be fire police appointment. And there's a proposed motion there.
Okay. Is Patricia Ayers with us tonight or no? I don't see her.
I don't think.
Move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen appoint Patricia Ayers as a fire police individual with the term to run until January 31st, 2025. I actually know this lady, and she had asked me what the process would be, and I'd actually gotten her in touch with the fire department months ago. So I see that it's finally coming to fruition. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Pete?
Peter Casper, aye.
Mark?
Mark Rivera, aye.
Tiffany?
Tiffany Teely, aye.
And we hear you. And
Well, that's because
myself,
I'm logging in on my phone. So if you see my name twice, that's what
Oh.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. That's one way of doing it.
She gets two votes.
What we
now.
got to do, right?
Yeah, she gets 2 votes.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, correspondence? Andy?
Okay, still with us, Dan?
Town manager's report. Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. I didn't hear you. I must have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So there's a letter there regarding the open space. It's not in your packet because it came in after the packet went out, so I apologize. But in order to show it up on the screen, we had to later submit it into the packet so we could view it. So under the town manager's report, we're very happy to announce that the town was in receipt of the open space grant from DEEP for the O'Connor property, which is down off of Old Hartford Road and a portion of Chittenden Road. So we're going to be working with them to move forward with that. That's another grant. Our new planner had he's 2 for 2. So I think that's so far so good. And I think that's kudos to everybody in town. So that's good information to share. Secondly, underneath the town manager's report, we've been very busy. We're conducting interviews for a new public works assistant. We're down to a final candidate, and we're hoping to have somebody in place shortly due to a retirement. If anybody goes through the center of town, especially by the library, you can see where roof is well underway. So that project is going according to plan. We'll keep monitoring that, and hopefully that'll be done according to the specs. So far, so good. I'm happy to announce we're working to wrap up the pump station upgrades. They're almost done. We're just doing a punch list. So another project that was taking well over a year to do, waiting on materials and things. So we'll be seducing negotiation at the end of that contract. We have a lot of people on vacation, but we're busy trying to fulfill a request for an FOI. That's ongoing. There's a lot of people on this board and the Board of Finance that has to get information back to the town manager's office so we can comply with that request. So that's just a reminder. And been working with the building committee on the fire department company 1 addition. We had some structural engineers look at that, and it looks like they may be coming back to us for a little bit more money for some structural fill on that project. I've been working diligently, and you'll see it'll come up in the packet a little bit later with an MOU with the town of East Haddam, with their police department. We're going to join forces with their officer, and he's going to complete the certifications that we need to be compliant with the police accreditation. And I'll let Mark speak to that when we get to that agenda item. But that was a very fast turnaround and a lot of work that had to happen between 2 towns. So they voted in East Haddam to approve that last night. And I told them that I'd be taking it, or the Board of Selectmen will be taking it up tonight to discuss it and hopefully approve. We've implemented a hard freeze on all the departments and budget lines. Anything moving forward until the end of this fiscal year will need to be approved by myself or by the finance director or by both, trying to keep the overages down to a minimum so we don't have to have too big of a supplemental appropriation. Right now, we're not in too bad a shape, but we still got another month to go, and things happen. Okay. You believe it or not, we're already starting to work on a new building survey with the building committee and the company that was hired to do the building assessments. And we incorporated the old town hall and one of the old historic schools in that as well. So those conversations are going on. And today I attended a Casio technical show and seminar. I don't think it's a secret to the Board of Selectmen. We're going to be looking for a new public works director due to another retirement. along with a fire marshal and a building official. So I'm trying to stay in with the know with these other towns and see who's available and who's possibly looking for a position. So that was a lot of networking and informational stuff today. And that's what I had.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing none. Our next section would be the American Rescue Plan State and Local Recovery Funds approval. Is there anything that we need to go over on this, or?
Well, this document here is a cleaned up version of the result of the workshop on May 8th. So
Okay,
this is where we are right now. I'm sure there's going to be some more. There's definitely going to be some more wiggle room because, and I know I don't know if Mel forgot to bring it up under public comment that he wanted to speak to this item. I don't mean to speak for him, but some of these, like I just stated, the fire department addition, they're going to be looking for some more money for that. Some of these numbers were estimates, and until you get the actual professionals in to look at what needs to be done, no one would have known we needed structural fill until you did borings and testings and things like that. So some of these projects that were put into the ARPA were, at least to say, rough estimates, and we may need to have some more wiggle room with some money to make sure that in trying to finalize these projects, we might have to, come back to the Board of Selectmen with the reports of why some of these increases are going to occur. So I wouldn't want to tighten it up too tight. I would want to, it's not me, whatever you guys want to do, I would just say, I wouldn't want to lock everything in case you still need some wiggle room to move some stuff around, but that's up to the board.
I'll open it up to the board members, but I thought we tried to have so that we had at least 100,000 as a safety net, and it looks like we're down to 87. Is that accurate?
Donna, yeah, it's kind of hard. Donna was trying to run the screen and do the math at the last meeting, so we went back and she went and redid it, and that's what she came up with. And this is the document she got to me for this meeting tonight.
So what happened to the $100,000 in reserve? I mean, why isn't that reflected in this?
Well,
Why is
so,
it saying
hold on.
87,000?
It was more than that, Tiffany, wasn't it? I thought we were at
Yes, it was more than
177
that.
or something
We
like
were
that. Yeah.
easily at 170,000 left in reserve.
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just,
No,
my
no,
mind,
you're
I heard
right.
170.
No, you're right.
Dan, it's Mel Leiter. I'd like to make a comment at some point on this subject as a
Okay,
both as a citizen and I'm not speaking for my fellow members of the Board of Finance, but having spent many years on projects and many years as Board of Finance member. And my comment is that essentially and I'm not talking about any specific projects. Yes, I'm involved with some of the projects, but that's not my issue. My issue is that you were down to about 3.11% is how I figured it out based on the numbers on this sheet in cash reserve. A normal project generally runs 5 to 7, and if it's a school building, 10% cash reserve. In this case, you've got a lot of projects up there that, and I'm sorry I was unable to attend the meeting on Monday night. I ended up back in the hospital, and I'm just home now. But just looking at the raw numbers here, I think you're too tight. And I think what's going to happen is you're either, and I would hate to see us cut anything that people expect is going to happen. But if you commit to these numbers and we end up over, then it's going to have to go to a supplemental appropriation, which we probably have the money to fund, but you then have to question, are the things that you're funding an emergency type thing or not? Yes, it's an emergency because we bought too much, didn't have enough, but I think you've got to get more cash reserved. And I don't know how you do it, but I do know that the sessions I did sit through when you were discussing this at in public meeting, a lot of times the numbers were very soft. You had $150,000 price, but really no backup documentation for it. Nobody was ready to sign any contracts or commit to those dollars in contracts. And that's where we get into trouble. And I say we, I mean everybody. It's not unique.
Well, this isn't, as I was saying, we put aside a minimum.
Dan, I'm sorry, the 100,000 is in there.
It is.
So as I'm looking at this, and Terry just sent me a note. It's already in there.
It's nowhere near enough.
No, well, that's right, Mel. I think I just want to make sure, go back to, as I looked at this and I saw it and I got a note from somebody as well, back to Tiffany's point, the 100,000 is accounted for on the line right above.
Yeah,
So it's really 187, the 87, 100,000 is accounted for. But back to Mal's comments, I guess the question then for us is, if it's 5%, then it's, I mean, what's the right number to hold at 10%? What's the right number to hold? Maybe it should be more than 187, 443, I think.
Pete, the other thing you have here, I don't know if people have seen on the news today, and Danny, you can probably speak to this as well or better than I can. The prices of materials are just going nuts. The town of Cromwell approved at referendum $58,000 for a new $58 million for a middle school. It was on the news this morning that they awarded the contract. Contractor came back and said, with the price creep on materials, you need $12 million more. And my point of saying that is you've got estimates in here that have not been really firmed up, and combine that with the prices of materials, the availability of labor, and the longer you put, we used to be able to look at projects that are we're not going to be able to do it for 2 years. So it's generally a 3% price creep year by year. Well, you can't do that anymore because, labor could creep at a constant rate, but materials are not doing that. And unfortunately, the majority of the materials, in Danny's field, electrical equipment, electrical supplies are just exploding. It's just, I'm concerned that we're not going to have enough money, and I could go on and on and on, but I think you get the drift. The call is absolutely yours, but I just wanted to make a public comment that, and it really is a public comment based on my experience from 20 years of building, 20 years of projects, over 20 years, 23 years of projects. It's not unusual for prices to creep. And, we don't have it's not like we're a company and we can allocate more money. Anything we allocate in this case might come out of fund balance, but people get very critical, and not auditors, but the rating agencies get very critical about what you're spending in fund balance. And that affects our bond rating. So I'll stop talking. I think you've heard it before. I'll be glad to answer any questions, but I know that you guys have the best interest of the town at heart and would like to do all of this stuff. And I think all of this stuff is nice stuff to do. I just don't know that we can afford it. So thank you for your time and your attention, and I'll be glad to answer anything that you might have to ask.
Thank you. I'm glad to see that's where the 100 is. So it is in there. I think as we go forward, I think we need to get estimates, and if the estimates or the contracts do not come in at what we are putting in the line items for those items, we may have to state that we're not going to do the project. To Mel's point, we can't go over. I don't think financially we can go over. We have to maintain within that dollar amount. And we just need to see these projects as they come in. It does not seem as if they're coming in gangbusters. We're getting hit with 5, 7 projects at a time coming in. So I think we just kind of need to watch each project as it comes in, and then decide do we stop, or if it's over budget, then do we just say we can't afford to do it? I don't know. Yeah, Pete.
Yeah, and Mal, nice to see you out of the hospital. Please, you don't need to go back there again, I hope. So,
Yeah.
nice to see you in your home again. And you did have one meeting, by the way, with me in the hospital, if I remember correctly. You were in one meeting, so might have been able to make it Monday.
I told them 3 strikes, they're out, Pete. One thing I will mention, Danny, if you remember, when we were discussing the firehouse, brought up the heat issue in the back.
Yes.
Well, they're pricing that up. We're already at $28,000 over the 100. They are also putting together, and we're supposed to have tomorrow, according to the information I got from Peter, from Richard Steiner. They're supposed to have a architect's estimate on the building of, the renovation of the actual facility. They have added 10 feet to the facility. They're going out 10 feet further, and I'll let the
Than what they had originally stated.
Yes. So it's been extended 10 feet. We've done boring tests there on the building inspector's direction and found that there is not good, stable soil there. So they're going to have to remove soil, bring in soil, compact it, and then pour footings. That price isn't, will be in the building price, but that wasn't expected in the 100. And
Well, as I said in the beginning, that building was built on basically road filings, and they brought in it was not built on a sound.
You're correct. You're correct.
This is one of the problems, and I'm going to get on my soapbox because this is one of the reasons why I pushed for the building committee years ago. Is we built the building on a wing and a prayer. The first selectman at the time swore to the gods above that he would bring it in under budget, and he did by slashing and burning almost every aspect of that building from the initial proposal that went out.
My point is that you had made the statement at the time, if we're in there fixing things, let's fix it. I don't know that we can afford to fix it. But we obviously will get back to you with all the costs. That could be an ad alternate to a bid or whatever. But those are the things. You can get a contract, and I've worked very few contracts. I think, well, even the elementary school, when we did all the piping in the elementary school, that was a pretty well-defined project. We still had about $120,000 in unexpected. We found some additional asbestos that we didn't know was there, and we found some additional pipes we didn't know were there. So almost any project will have some additional expenses. As you said earlier, some are coming in pennies. I mean, if we look at this list, Division 1 or the first request, I think the difference, I can't remember, was $20,000, not much. But as we go down the list, when we get a lot more of the $120,000, $150,000 that are really not well spelled out, once you get the contract, there still could, it's like I did the last project I did when I was working. The architect forgot to put in a 200-foot run from a pump house to the wells. Well, that cost us an additional $25,000. You know, it's things that people miss. Nobody's perfect. So
No,
So-
but
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and
please.
I wanted to suggest that potentially we could consider at some point another workshop to prioritize within sort of the strategic framework of the structure of this initiative, because clearly we can't spend more money than we're given. I mean, that would be
Right.
that would be a huge. We shouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't even consider supporting that in the collective. And so maybe we have to get together as a group at some juncture and start to understand and prioritize, because if certain projects are over, and we stay with them, and then we're going to be left with a gap of maybe some other things that we intend within the framework of this whole project, in terms of the ARPA funds. Because I would say, as I said before, that there's importance throughout the projects that we've approved, not just for critical town buildings and infrastructure, but for other committees and other community items that I would deem within the context of this project are just as important. So to paraphrase, Animal Farm, for those that maybe read the book, all projects are important, but some are in essence more important than others. Within the definition of what we're trying to do with ARPA, and I think we can't lose sight of that. So maybe at some point in the near future, we sort of take the time to look at all of these projects and within sort of a strategic mindset. As Tiffany had said it a few meetings ago, maybe we ought to prioritize in the event that
Yep.
we have to make
I agree.
decisions.
Whether we do a 1, 2, 3, whatever. But with the fire department, with that building, I think we really need to know what we are looking at as an overall total. We
Note
need to
that
find
by
out
tomorrow.
just what we're getting into with that building. And I'm glad that it's being looked at. Because we've been putting money into that for years. They had foundations that were kicking out on the overhead garage doors. And again, it was because it was not built on a good, solid, compactable material.
And that's the issue you're facing now, Dan, with that addition. Same thing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please. Go ahead, Tiffany.
I don't want to belabor the point here because we do have other items on the agenda and we did spend a workshop to discuss this. I think the only thing I can say in addition to Pete's point is that I look at some of these items, right? Like we've set upon an amount, and it may be if that's all we can contribute, it's all we can contribute. And it's up to the arbiters of that project to come up with the rest of the funding to cover what they need. I do think though, I think we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. A lot of these projects haven't come in yet. We don't yet know the financial scale of a lot of them based on what I'm seeing on my screen right now. And so I would support, in the interest of moving on, I would support Pete's idea for a workshop in the future as like a status check, that where we can focus solely on this, see what's come in, and then make, hopefully not have to make very hard decisions, but we may have to. But I do think it's a little soon yet. I think we need to see what's going on, get some more projects finished from phase 1, perhaps. So I would support Pete's idea. Thank you.
Yep, and I agree. I totally agree. Do we want to try to set a time now, like a month from now, to see where things are? What's your pleasure? What's your thoughts?
What do you think, Peter?
Well, let me, if I could ask Mr. Tierney, because you're obviously managing all of this or much of this with your team, your staff. Is a month a good touch point? What would you think? I think we should do something to stay in touch with this, the developing issues here. But what do you think? I want to ask you what you think. I don't want. But
I appreciate that. I think the board's decision to move forward with another workshop is good. I think my office could try to set that up and send that out roughly around a month's time from now, and see if that works for everybody that's involved.
Okay, that's a good idea, Dan. Why don't we just try that and see
Okay,
what that timeline looks like?
okay,
And
perfect.
the building committee will get going on some of these other projects and get some definite costs. And get them to you guys individually before through the town manager's office, so that you can keep track. I think a month by month, you're getting to the point where all these projects are coming to the point where where you want to execute, and you need to know month by month what the total number. I mean, I read, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but in this, in Donna's report, I read that the ARPA, total ARPA monies are 2.8 million. And they're 2.812. And we've already committed to, and I don't know what committed means, to 2.75 million, which takes us to the 87. Above that, you've got a lot of projects with unknowns. And I think I'm making my comment tonight simply because I thought you were going to vote solidly to approve all of these, never again to be reviewed. And I think Tiffany and Peter's idea of a prioritization as well as an ongoing review of dollars committed. And I don't mean dollars spent, I mean dollars committed. Because dollars spent are deceiving when you're trying to hit a number at the end. So thank you for your opportunity. And like I say, I think you've got a good plan, and I can commit for the building committee that we will participate with you wherever we need to. And we will keep pushing our vendors to try to get as timely information as we can. I had hoped to have it for you tonight, but didn't happen.
Oh, not a problem.
Thank you. And I'll turn myself off here.
No. Okay. I guess our next thing would be the Public Works Building Project Survey Committee update. Pete?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And we have two other committee members that I can see from my screen that are on. We had originally intended, based on the last meeting, to have this undrafted final version set for your approval, which it is on the agenda. I did get, just following up from Caitlin's comments earlier, public comment, I appreciate her comments and obviously the time that the Green Committee took to present the information they did present to us. And one of the committee members did ask if that's that additional information or that perspective and the detail provided should be reflected somehow in the information provided to the public. And I did obviously read all the information and the comments from the folks that we work with on the topic. Although my opinion anyway, and I'll ask Terry, and poor Mel thought he was shutting off his mic, but I'm going to ask you because you're on the line too. My opinion is to actually table a decision on this to at least provide the Green Committee's work an opportunity to be discussed at the committee. We intend to do everything we can do to have this come across as unbiased as possible and fair, and with the objective of getting good information back from the public. And there's always a small group that will always consider this biased no matter what we accomplish. But when I think of what you presented and the fact that one committee member already suggested that we at least discuss it as a committee, my bias is to table this to allow us to meet one more time and talk to the town and make sure there isn't anything else that we should be providing to in our document to give a full perspective of the background. But with that said, and again, I thank you in the past for allowing me to indulge or add other committee members to add their comments. So that's something new for me. So if I could turn it maybe first to, I see Mal, your mic on, and then to Terry. I don't think anyone else is on from the committee, but Mal, may I turn to you for comments on that suggestion, and then to Terry, and then based on that outcome, we'll move forward one way or the other.
Sure. I too feel like we should review the current survey based on some of the information that we received from Caitlin and from the Green Committee. The only other statement I have is Mr. Tulamiri's statement about how it's biased by putting the summary sections within each question. We maybe should remove the need to read that before you answer the question. However, that's there so people have actual facts. And we want this survey, and I think everybody wants this survey to be voted on based on the facts. And there's a lot of non-facts that are going around that this will dispute. And when people read it, they may believe it, they may not believe it. It's not important. They had the opportunity to see the actual facts as determined by professionals, not by wishes or dreams. But I think that the Green Committee had some good stuff there. They really do. So I think it is worth another look, some revisions, and then we move forward. But I'd be opposed to taking out the explanations with
Yeah. Well, right, and it's our recommendation. There's no question. There's a lot of misinformation and opinions and emotion that has sort of skewed some of the facts. And there's obviously people present facts and good points as well. But we wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity and to really take the time to look at that, so they can then make an informed decision, not simply one based on things other than the facts.
and that's my
Okay.
is a bit
Okay.
decision. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt, Terry.
Peter, I think it's a good idea that we sit down again and discuss the letter that was being made for 6 months, and also the implications of what we've heard tonight, and choose how to go forward. Timing is proving to be everything on a lot of things right now. Almost as if we're coming to a tipping point right here. I know I'm coming to a tipping point as far as perceptions and information's being sent out at different times. So yeah, getting together again, I think, is the wisest thing to do.
Okay. So based on that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to table this as old business and have it come up at the next meeting to move forward on, and we'll meet as a committee next week. Make any necessary changes, suggested changes, bring it back to the board the following meeting, and allow the vote to proceed at that point.
Yeah, that's it's fine with me. Again, and I agree with everybody. We need to make sure that the facts are the facts. It seems like somebody comes up with what they consider to be a fact, and then our people come back with other information to show that what was listed as a fact may not be totally accurate, or I don't know. It gets really.
At some point we have to move forward. That's true.
Exactly.
I just think if you have a town committee I don't want to be considered dismissive as a committee of something that a town committee had spent 6 months preparing. So at least allow us to discuss. We can't react to every citizen who has a comment. Well, it'll be 13 more years before the survey goes out. So, but in this case, I think another couple of weeks, especially considering the amount of time that was spent by a town committee to prepare that and submit that document, will at least, I think, hopefully give them the courtesy that we took it as seriously as they intended it to be taken. So within the context of the committee's charge.
I think that's fine. I agree. Tiffany, Mark, anybody?
I think that's fair. I think I value the Green Committee. I value their contributions to the town. And I think that if they've taken the time to compile a document, I think it is worth proper evaluation and response. Thank you.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, I have a couple comments. I have no problems with opinions, thoughts, beliefs, but when they become accusatory and innuendos are made that we're not acting in any kind of good faith, that we're not considering people's opinions, which we've been listening to the same comments for over a year now, and we keep moving forward, keep trying to improve our approach to this, hence the survey, hence getting to vote on this to see what the people do. But it always seems we're pointing fingers at selectmen, at the town hall, that we're not doing this in good faith in a proper fashion. I find that offensive. So instead of pointing fingers at what isn't going right, what is bad, it's your fault, let's point a finger at a solution. Let's point fingers at what we can do to improve this whole process. And with all the FOIs and everything going on, we're volunteers. We in the town hall gets overwhelmed with work that is outside the scope of what we should be doing to work for the citizens of our town. And as I'm getting towards the end of my political career here, you feel a lack of appreciation for all the hours you spend trying to help, trying to listen, trying to come up with good ideas. And Pete and the committee, I have complete faith in you to find the correct wording, the correct questions, summaries, whatever it may be. And Tiffany, being the expert in what she's done, I'm pretty sure she could tell if this is biased or is somehow excluding somebody. So I have no problem moving forward with considering everybody. I have a problem with the accusatory nature and being the whipping post, the town hall and the selectmen and everybody else who's involved in this process. Because I can guarantee you we're all working in good faith in this and having to take the abuse, the insults, and keep saying thank you all the time. So those are my comments.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we'll see what you come back with. Okay. I guess our next thing would be the budget update, and that would be Andy.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Item 8E in the packet is attached as the legal notice, along with a sample ballot for the May 23rd, 2023 budget referendum. There's no need for approval. We just want to share that information with you. And the next referendum is the 23rd. Hopefully, the townspeople will come out and vote. And I'll leave it at that. I think the survey or actually the ballot questions the last time indicated that the budgets were too high. So reductions were made, and we'll see how it fares in the booth. But it got the mill rate lower than 2% mill increase. So that's where we are with that.
Okay. Time will tell. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully we'll end up with a budget. I mean, it's a lot of new expenses that we still have to manage. Any other old business? Hearing none, moving on with our new business. Excuse me. Hey, Andy?
Hey, new business. So this is a mandate that was sent down that we have to deal with. They do have a bill up there that hopefully may relieve the resident trooper towns, but that we have no way of knowing that if that's going to pass at all or not. So in talking with the other towns that are doing this, we need to move forward, and we have monies in place, but It's turned out to be quite an undertaking. So I've been working with the first selectwoman down in East Haddam, and they have an officer that is certified to do this. He's going to do it for the town of East Haddam. He lives in Hebron, so it's almost repetitious. He can do the same thing for us and just change the names from East Haddam to Hebron on our documentation. So attaches a memorandum of agreement. This was prepared between myself and the town labor attorney, Nicholas J. Grello Esquire, between East Haddam and the town for shared services regarding the act concerning police accountability. The town manager is recommending that the town enter into this agreement. And there's a proposed motion, and I'm not sure if, Mr. Chairman, you wanted to ask Chairman or Selectman Rivera to comment on this.
Sure. Well, I'll read the motion and then we'll have Mark comment and go from there. Mark, do you want to read the or actually, you want to read the motion or do you have it in front of you? Mark?
Dan, why don't you read the motion and
Okay.
I'll save my energy for my comment afterwards.
Okay, the motion, move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen approve the town manager's recommendation to enter into the attached memorandum of agreement with East Haddam, Connecticut for shared services under the Act concerning police accountability and authorize Andrew J. Tierney, town manager, to sign the memorandum of agreement. Okay, Mark, you're on.
So obviously this thing keeps growing and growing, but I kind of think we're at the point where we pretty much understand it and the state is done surprising us with things to do. So like you commented last week, Dan, we're trying to share things now and share the burdens. And instead of having me as a full-time accreditation officer and one in East Haddam, we'd be doing the same thing so one person can do it. So here's our shared services and our regionalization to its best effect. And Andy gave me an opportunity to review the whole MOU, and it's definitely solid. It reflects what we need to do. It spells out what Officer Rhodes needs to do. And Andy, thank you very much, because the state team is coming out next Tuesday for their first visit. So Andy and I and everyone else have been scrambling to get this in place before next Tuesday. I'm pretty sure we're going to be ready. We have to be ready. So Andy, thanks for kind of dropping a lot of things and putting the attention on this before we got in trouble and we wouldn't be in compliance. So we have no choice, Dan. As you said before, these are mandates by the state. We have to do them. I'm going to take a lesser role in this. There's no way I want to be full-time. So I'm going to be, have the position of being a coordinator of all the training and the training supervisor, which is part of the bill, which maybe I can get away with just 10 or 12 hours a week. And I'll be assisting the officer from East Haddam with whatever he needs to make this happen. So I think we're at a good point here. And unfortunately, we have to pay half a salary, but it's better than paying a whole salary. So that's pretty much, I have no questions about things. It has to be done. And thanks for your attention, guys. And Andy, thanks a lot. You really got to this quick because we really had a timeline to get this done. All set, guys.
Okay, I thank you, Mark. I just want to also say thank you to Andy. Here again, another example of Hebron reaching out to other communities, other entities, trying to find ways of sharing personnel, resources, which is one of our requests of our town staff to do that. And here we have another perfect example of that happening. So thank you, Andy. Thank your staff. This is the only way we're going to be able to financially weather the storms that are going on is by shared services. Anyway, any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Pete,
Peter Casper, aye.
Tiffany,
Tiffany Teely, aye.
Mark,
Mark Rivera, aye.
Gail? I don't know if she's on. And myself, aye. Okay, we have the next, Andy, you want to talk about this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Under item 9B is award the HVAC services contract. Attached is a summary of the proposals received for the RFP for maintenance and repair of HVAC equipment at the Town Hall and Hebron Board of Ed school buildings. The town manager and the Hebron superintendent of schools are recommending award to Thermodynamics Mechanical Services, Inc. And there's a proposed motion, and in the back, there is a schedule of who bid and the prices. And just for point of reference, Thermodynamics is the company we presently have doing the town buildings and the schools now.
I assume, Andy, that date is just a typo on the motion.
Yeah, January. Yeah, that probably it was taken from the old one. I apologize. That would be need to get rectified. I'm flying along without Donna and it's starting to show.
No, just I'm letting you know I'm reading it in advance, that's all.
This would be 2023, correct?
No, I think it might have been a 5-year this time.
Yeah, but is to be effective.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, effective. Yes.
So that's my point, Dan. Yeah, no, we have to have an updated date. So I don't know, do we have that? So can we make that correction now with the motion or is something, no? What's the date?
I'm doing it with the motion.
Yeah, okay.
Move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen approve the town manager's recommendation to award the contract for maintenance and repair of HVAC equipment for all town of Hebron buildings, including the Hebron Board of Education school buildings, to Thermodynamics Mechanical Services Incorporated of Broadbrook, Connecticut. This contract is to be effective, and I'm going to say January 1st, 2023.
Why don't you move that up to, Mr. Chair, why don't you move that up to July 1st? If you're approving it now, this will supersede the old one.
July.
Yes, let's do it.
So as a friendly amendment, contract to be effective July 1st, 2023.
Right, and it'll run to June 30th, 2026.
Okay, should I put that in this motion?
Either way, I just want to make you aware that I apologize for the typo in the
No.
motion.
So this contract is to be effective July 1st, 2023, and to run through to June 30th, 2028. It's a 5-year, 2028.
2026. So I guess it's a 3.
So it's only a 3-year.
Yeah.
Okay, so to June 30th, 2026. And I'm just gonna put that on here. So that way we can verify that correction is made in the minutes. Okay. Hearing the proposed motion on any discussion? Tiffany, at least this one, we had a number of people that submitted. I don't know
Yes.
why we can't get them on other trades. I honestly just don't know. But anyway, so any other comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Pete?
Peter Casper, aye.
Mark?
Mark Rivera, aye.
Tiffany?
Tiffany Teely, aye.
And myself, aye. Okay. And as I say, we just need to make sure that correction makes it into the minutes. With that, we have our draft agenda. And I don't know where. Okay. Getting too many papers on my desk. So again, if anybody has any additions or changes or whatever. Okay, the Public Works next steps is on here. Okay. I think everything is on here. If anybody sees anything that we're missing or needs to add anything, please get it into the town hall. We only have the approval of the May 4th, 2023. So make a motion to accept the minutes as of May 4th, 2023, the regular meeting, and then the tax refunds as listed. Does anybody have any corrections or amendments or additions or anything? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Peter?
Peter Casper, aye.
Mark?
Mark Rivera, aye.
Tiffany?
Tiffany Teely, aye.
And myself, aye. Next would be our liaison reports. Peter?
Nothing from the Board of Finance. I did attend the Parks and Rec Commission meeting and what's today? Oh my goodness, Tuesday. And just a couple of quick things. The summer camp signups are going really well. There's an amazing amount of opportunities to participate in camps that the commission, the Parks and Rec folks are putting on, the town's putting on. So I continue to encourage all of our citizens to go on the site and look at all these wonderful camps that they have. So really good work going on there. There was a discussion with the Hebron pollinators were there to present and go through some discussions as to how they can beautify some of the one particular spot in Burnt Hill Park to make some improvements there. Just a reminder, June 3rd, our first farmers market and Hebron Day is coming up. There was discussion on St. Peter's Field, that area regarding as Andy mentioned, I think in the last meeting, the reconfiguration of some of the I think pickleball. I'm sorry, putting the pickleball over there and sort of a discussion around that. So there was a good deal of discussion around that, and then an update on the budget, which seems to be in pretty good standing. So all in all, a good positive meeting, a lot of good things happening, and everything seems to be in good shape there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, quickly, been working with Ram and the superintendent. We're going to have an active shooter training day after graduation, which is the 15th. We're preparing for that too. But June 27th, the fire department, EMS, and the police are going to have a mock response. And that's the use of our ARPA funds being put to use and putting into practice and perfecting our technique and seeing what we need to improve, what we do well, and go forward with that. So that's coming up with the RAM. And in closing, I'd just like to thank the rest of the selectmen for your service to the town, for putting up with all the things that we do. And sometimes it's very thankless. And I'm proud to serve on this board with you guys, and I appreciate you. And I know that we have the good faith of this town in our hearts, and that we do listen and we try to be as democratic as we can, even though we have to make tough decisions. And thank you, Andy, for hanging in there with everything too. Sometimes this is a very thankless job. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. You're one of us. Thank you yourself. Tiffany?
My boards are meeting in a couple of weeks, but the only thing that I will add to what has already been said is that I think the Open Space Commission is thrilled with this recent grant. It's actually more than I think they were expecting. So that's really positive news for open space. And the members of that commission are incredibly dedicated volunteers. So that's a big win for them. And I'll have more next month in my liaison report as my boards meet. Thank you.
Okay. Gail, are you on? Okay, assuming that she's not, I guess it's to me. The only thing on the Hebron Historic Properties Commission, they are working, the, yeah, with the, oh God, the Juneteenth committee. So during the Hebron Day, there's going to be not only the Juneteenth committee with a bunch of things going on at the Peters house. There's also going to be things from the Hebron Commission on things that they found at the Peters house during all of the reconstruction and stuff. Actually, I'll talk to Andy, Pete. I do have a letter stating a lot of what was done construction wise from the beginning for you. I just thought of that. So I brought up the concerns on what's been, cost of that project. So trying to get some information for the board on that. So that's what's happening on that. The fire department, again, with them dissolving the corporation and their new entity that they started, they don't have regular meetings anymore. So I've got nothing to report with the fire department. I'm going to have Mel, he had something for AHM. And then Andy, I don't know if you have anything for WPCA or any of that stuff, or Chatham Health. Go ahead,
Bill?
Mel. Okay, Mel?
Yeah, two things, one for AHM and one question on the fire department. AHM is hosting a spring concert on Saturday night. It's going to be the a cappella group, the oldest a cappella group in the country from Yale. They're called the Whiffin' Poofs. Strange name. And still available. There are still some tickets available, as well as we have a live stream that's going to be done. I think it's half the price. I think the tickets are $40 or $45 a person, and I think the live stream is $25. All the receipts go to funding AHM projects, and anyone who hasn't seen the Whiffin' Poofs, it's an interesting show. The other question I have is I would like to recognize the fire department for the emergency ambulance folks for the excellent service they provided me and my family, and wanted to know I intend to write a letter, and who do I address a donation to, since there is no more society?
I don't know.
Okay. Andy, should I check with Elaine or Donna or?
Yeah, I would just check with my office tomorrow. We'll figure that out.
Okay. And I'll have a letter for the next meeting.
Yeah. Andy, did you have anything? I'm sorry, you started to talk.
No, I just wanted to back up Tiffany, giving kudos for that open space. Point of reference, there was only 11 applications approved this round, which is a big shot in the arm for Hebron to get one of 11. Because normally there's 50 or 40 or something to more of that magnitude. So we're one of 11. That's pretty good. So I just wanted to reiterate what she was trying to say. I don't know if she was aware of that or not.
Okay, perfect. Okay, our next would be our executive session. I'm assuming we are going to have that. Correct? People?
I mean, I'm ready to go with the evaluation of everybody else's. I know last time technical concerns were a problem.
Pete, Mark?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sitting here in Cleveland until tomorrow, so yeah, I got plenty of time all night.
Okay.
You ready,
and then,
Dan?
what's that?
Are you ready, Dan?
You know what? I leave this kind of stuff up to the smart people.
Oh, I guess we're gonna do it then.
Okay. So apparently we are no longer doing yeah.
Well, do we have the public comment? I know Terry, your hand's up. Are we not doing public comment if that's your, if that's
Not
your question?
listed. It's
Okay.
not listed. I think, I know we were talking about just having it back into the beginning because of the time constraints. So it's not listed. It's up to you people. What do you want to do? I think personally,
Well, I guess,
especially
Mr.
because we have
Chairman.
executive session, yeah,
Yeah, my first question would be, do we have to do the collective bargaining as well? Because it would be my recommendation that we probably do that first before we get into the evaluation chatter, correct? Does
okay.
that make sense to everybody? I'm assuming we still have to do that.
Yeah, so at this point, we're gonna have to have Dory put us into the executive session. We will be inviting in, Andy. Is there anyone else? Do we need to invite in, Andy?
No, you would need to move into executive session. And then Dory would lock the meeting, would ask everybody else to, sign off, and she would lock the meeting. And she would then walk away from her apparatus for running the meeting. We could
And then-
conduct, I agree with Tiffany's swapping of the items.
Yep,
And,
that's
we
fine.
can move forward, and then we just list the time when we come out of executive session, and then if there's any action as a result of executive session.